I'm standing in the elevator next to one of the greatest boxers, one of the greatest sports icons to have ever lived. I look over to where Joe stands. At this point, he is Joe to me. Not Smokin Joe or heavyweight champion of the world. Joe Frazier is one of my biggest clients and closest friends. We're in Joe's adopted hometown of Philadelphia. It is 2002, and we're on our way to meet the other most iconic heavyweight champion of all time. He is the man simply known as the greatest, Muhammad Ali. They have barely seen each other in 30 years. This is the biggest moment of my career, the biggest moment of my life, and I'm completely loaded. I slip another pill into my mouth. I'm so good at it, no one notices. There have never been two bigger stars than Ali and Frazier. Since the early 1970s, when their rivalry reached epic levels, Joe Frazier and Muhammad Ali had only been in the same room a couple times. On those occasions, they had to be separated so a real fight didn't break out. The anger and resentment left in the wake of those years was far more devastating than any blow in the ring. It was 1975, and boxing had never been bigger. The champs had already had two fights, and the Thriller in Manila was the fight to end them all. Ali knew how to raise the stakes before a bout, calling Joe and Uncle Tom in the press and before they made it to the final fight, the Gorilla in Manila. Joe could never forgive Ali for that. They took all this energy into what became a brutal trilogy of fights and the greatest rivalry in sports history. In the bout known as the Fight of the Century, Joe had won, beating Ali, who was just returning to the ring after being exiled for protesting the Vietnam War. In their second bout, Ali rebounded, winning by unanimous decision in 12 rounds. By the time they made it to Manila, their third and final fight, whatever love had existed between the two was long gone. It was a 14-round battle between two men who could kill someone with one punch. Frazier was almost blinded by the bout, and Ali later admitted to being close to dying. They brawled for 14 rounds in 106-degree heat. Joe couldn't see by the end. Many thought it was the fight that destroyed Ali's body, if not his mind. They never spoke a kind word to one another again, until that night in 2002. In 2001, Ali finally apologized to Frazier in a New York Times interview for all the things he said about him. Joe, who had once joked that he would throw Ali into the fire after he lit the 1996 Olympic torch, took the apology to heart. A year later, Harlan Werner, Ali's marketing agent, and one of my closest friends and mentors and I started trying to set up a reunion. Harlan was meant to be a part of the meeting, but with the last-minute invite, he was stuck at a convention in Vegas and couldn't make it to Philadelphia in time. "Don't worry, Darren, they'll see each other again, and I'll be there for next time," he said before the meeting. "Besides, this is history." Joe stands calmly in the elevator, as though we're just going for a friendly stroll. We're there with his son Marvis and my good friend and fellow agent Nick Cardasco, and it feels like the air had been sucked right out of the elevator. Of course, that might just be the Percocet. We reach the floor of the hotel, where Ali is staying for the NBA All-Star game. The elevator dings, and Joe steps off. He is nearing 60 and moves slowly, like someone whose body has been beaten for decades, because it has. He's still Smokin Joe, wearing his three-piece suit and gold jewelry. He fixes his hat as we walk to Ali's door. Ali's wife Lonnie answers, and she hugs Joe as though he is an old friend and not her husband's arch rival. I walk in behind Joe's son and see Ali on the couch. Joe walks over to the aging champ, who has already been rattled by Parkinson's. I can tell he's having a bad night because he can't get up before Joe reaches him. Joe leans in and helps his old nemesis to his feet. Ali practically falls into his arms. We're all standing there, riveted, watching these two giants just holding each other, waiting for one of them to break the silence. Finally, Joe speaks. "We don't need to fight no more, Muhammad," he says, leaning into Ali. "We got grandkids now. If we can make peace, we could show the rest of the world how to do it."